Hi, and welcome to the Ada K Show. I am Ada K. Brown, and am currently a criminal justice major, and I'm a deaf courtroom commentator. Grab a cup of Java, and let's dive in. I am back. Yes, I know. I'm back. And I'm sorry that music was loud. We had it set for another feed. You guys, I'm back because we've got more news on that crash, but we also have more news on the governor's mansion that was broken into and set aflames. And we also have more news in the home explosion in Austin, Texas. So we're going to go ahead and start over here with the airplane because this just launched. And so I'd rather just go ahead and get this up and going. Some people are wanting up-to-date news. So we're going to look at this first. Then we'll look at the governor's mansion, the news on that. And then we'll also look into the
this morning on a deadly plane crash in Columbia County,
explosion.
6 people.
The NTSB now investigating, sharing new details on this tragedy, claiming the lives of a family of physicians and standout student athletes that were on board.
CBS 6's Laura Jemet is joining us live in Albany this morning, where we're hoping to learn more from officials today. Laura.
Good morning, Julie and Olivia. We're learning there were 5 passengers and 1 pilot on board the small aircraft which crashed in Copake. The NTSB says the group was traveling for a family gathering. According to family members, one of the victims on board was Corinna Groff, a star soccer player for MIT. The Columbia County Medical Examiner's Office reports Groff was traveling with her parents, Dr. Michael Groff and Dr. Joy Saini, her boyfriend, James Santoro, her brother, Jared Groff, and Jared's girlfriend, Alexia Coyutis Dorte. The plane, a Mitsubishi M2B40, took off from White Plains and was en route to Columbia County Airport when it went down in a field 20 miles from its destination.
We get a lot of planes, actually a lot of low-flying planes throughout the area, and to have one crash in our backyard is very unfortunate, and I think I can speak for the entire community to say that, you know, we're heartbroken and our hearts go out to the deceased.
Investigators are still trying to piece together what happened. Todd Inman, an NTSB board member, also noted weather conditions, including deteriorating visibility, would be examined as part of the investigation. The NTSB plans to announce another news conference held somewhere today, and you can stay with CBS 6 on air and online for the latest developments. Reporting live in Albany, Laura Jemet, CBS 6 News.
All right, thanks, Laura. Well, meanwhile, CBS 6's Emma Quinn speaking with Robert Katz, a commercial pilot with more than 40 years of experience. Katz pointed to public records that, in his opinion, raised concerns around the plane's age and past history.
2 red flags here. Number 1 is that the airplane is 40 years old. That's always a concern when it comes to maintenance. But to make matters worse, we see the airworthiness date is March 28 of 95. So something happened in the first 10 years of the life of this airplane to cause the airworthiness certificate to be reissued. Normally, this is never reissued. This is always a concern when we see an AW date subsequent to the manufacturer date.
Katz says public records show Michael Groff was registered as a pilot with appropriate qualifications for this type of airplane. But he says icy weather combined with poor maintenance may have been a factor.
Meanwhile, the tour company behind last Thursday's deadly helicopter crash in New York City shutting down immediately. The FAA making that announcement yesterday. The crash killed all 6 people on board, including a young family visiting from Spain. They had 3 children with them. The FAA will now be reviewing the license and the safety record for New York Helicopter Tours. It'll also continue to support the NTSB's investigation into what happened. That helicopter crashed into the Hudson River. Earlier yesterday, Senator Chuck Schumer also urging federal authorities to revoke the company's operating certificate.
The FAA can take some action in the name of safety. They definitely should. I'm also demanding that the FAA increase what are called ramp inspections at other metro area helicopter companies. At other helicopter tour companies, right.
New York Helicopter Tours was previously involved in 2 safety incidents being investigated by the federal authorities.
And as a reminder, you can get all of the day's top local stories, breaking news.
So that particular video explains some things. What a shame. What a shame, y'all. Really, it is so horrible. We will keep you updated as we learn more information, of course. For those of you who are watching the Lori Daybell trial, some say it starts at 11:30 my time, some say 11. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that. We will go live to that on a separate stream. Now, let's go over to the stream that we have set up here. This is the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, where an attempt on the lives of everybody there had happened over the weekend.
A man is charged in connection with an arson at the Pennsylvania governor's residence while Governor Shapiro and his family slept inside. Pennsylvania State Police said that Shapiro and his family were evacuated around 2 o'clock Sunday after the home was set on fire. No one was injured, but as you can see, the fire caused significant damage to the home.
We do know that this attack was targeted.
A lot of those homes are historical homes too.
We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay.
Joining me now, CNN's Gene Casares. Wow, this is, Josh Shapiro. They were sleeping in the home. They had just celebrated Passover, and someone set their home on fire. What can you tell us?
Well, we've got the criminal complaint now, and in fact, we have got a lot of information. First of all, the charges. The top charge is attempted homicide.
Wow.
That this person tried to kill the people inside with these homemade incendiary devices. Next, aggravated arson. We also have burglary of a home. And then we have, as the 5th count, terrorism. Cody Balmer is the name of the suspect who has been arrested. He actually had a friend of his, a female, call police to tell them he wanted to turn himself in. He turned himself in. He was given his Miranda rights, but he started to talk. Here's what we know. He said that he walked about a mile to get to the house. And that's when he threw he jumped the fence, threw the first incendiary device into a room. Police tell us that was the piano room. And then it took off. And then he went to the second window he saw and threw a second incendiary device in. That would be the dining room. It took off. He said it was Heineken beer bottles that he had put gasoline in. He jumped through the second window. He was actually in the mansion at that point, and then finished his business and left. He was asked by police, did you believe that somebody was going to be asleep in the house at that time? He said, yeah, I knew that was a possibility. That's important.
Yep.
State of mind,
Yep.
that goes to intent to want to kill who was ever in that home. He said he hated the governor. Now, motive is not in this description right here. He may have told them more, but they don't need motive. They need the elements. But here is what the governor had to say the family was doing the night before.
Hear me on this. We celebrated our faith last night proudly.
Passover.
And in a few hours, we will celebrate our second Seder of Passover again proudly. No one will deter me or my family or any Pennsylvanian from celebrating their faith openly and proudly.
So then the police also asked the defendant, what would you have done if the governor had confronted you in the mansion? He said, I would have taken my hammer and I would have started to hit him. And they found Sarah a sledgehammer
Oh.
at his home.
That is terrifying. Gene, I know you got this information just a few moments ago, and you really sort of broke down why terrorism is one of the charges there. I'm sure we will be learning more. Thank you so much for that. It was great.
CNN's Danny Freeman has more now from Philadelphia.
It was an extremely troubling and frightening night in Pennsylvania's capital after Governor Josh Shapiro's mansion, the governor's mansion residence, was set on fire intentionally, according to Pennsylvania State Police. The main headline that we learned Sunday afternoon is that there was a suspect taken into custody, 38-year-old Cody Balmer. He'll be charged with attempted murder, terrorism, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault. That's according to the Dauphin County District Attorney. But here's a little bit of a timeline of the best that we understand as to how this all unfolded. On Saturday evening, Governor Josh Shapiro was holding a Passover Seder for the first night of the Jewish holiday of Passover. He was with his family. He had guests over at the governor's residence as well. They all then went to sleep. And then at some point in the middle of the night, just before 2 a.m., Pennsylvania State Police say this man, Balmer, jumped a fence at the governor's residence, evaded state troopers who at that time actually realized that there had been a
It is.
breach.
I'll show
The
it.
man was then able to break into the residence, set fire to the residence, escaped then by jumping back over the fence. He had homemade incendiary devices on him, according to Pennsylvania State Police. Then at 2 a.m., Governor Shapiro said that he and his family and some of his guests who were staying over were woken up by bangs on the door because first responders were alerting him that part of the residence was on fire. Thankfully, though, the fire was in a different part of the building from where the governor, his wife, family, and guests were, and first responders were able to knock that fire down. Amazingly,
See, look at this. This is a historical building. That makes me, I mean, this is horrible, but it makes me sick when you have historical buildings that have been cared for years after years get destroyed by
no
some
one was
idiot.
injured. But again, now there is
God,
a
nobody was hurt.
multi-agency investigation ongoing into exactly what happened here. The investigation being led by the Pennsylvania State Police, but also being assisted by the FBI. And I just want you to listen to how Governor Shapiro characterized what he was feeling after this entire incident, clearly overwhelmed by the level of support that he's received from so many across the country after this incident. But also he said that he will not be deterred by violence from doing his job or by practicing his faith.
This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society.
Amen.
And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay.
Now, Pennsylvania State Police investigators say that this investigation is ongoing and they're also reviewing security protocols at the governor's residence. At this time, CNN has not been able to get in contact with an attorney for Balmer. Danny Freeman, CNN, Philadelphia.
What questions do you still have? What is standing out to you?
Well, the biggest thing is everyone's going to ask, how could he get over the fence and into the house without the troopers finding him? As you look at the property now, it's actually fairly
You're right,
decent
Chris. Amen.
from the fence line to the house. It's 2 a.m. And anytime the first time something happens, it's really tough to anticipate that. No one's ever broken over the fence and lit the residence on fire. So that's not what they're expecting. They probably had some type of protrusion alarm that someone got over, and they were looking for someone who was on the grounds.
Yes,
maybe
we'll
looking
go there in
to,
a minute.
do some graffiti or something along those lines, because they haven't had something this serious. So I think when they look at the after action, and they're going to be very critical, they're going to need technology, sensors, lighting, motion detection lighting to help them do it. Have a dog on presence, up the number of people that are on the residence in the middle of the night, because now it's coming to the point where this is going to be prevalent. Violence is starting to happen. As Andy McCabe said last time, there's no federal domestic terrorism charges. There are state ones. So that's going to come into play on the prosecution side. But I think really what's going to happen is you're going to see a much bigger detail, and you're going to see more permanent personnel around his residence and his family.
It is so striking to know that this person was able to make it inside the governor's residence. And the way they were describing this, that this person, they said, was quite methodical in how they did this. They had these homemade incendiary devices, as you and Danny noted, and then they were back over the fence, and that they were apprehended, I believe, just a little time ago. It is remarkable that all of that was able to happen. And we look at the images. This was a very, very serious situation.
Oh, absolutely. If he had a better layout of the house and understanding maybe where they're at, and he was more determined to actually do harm to them, I think you could have a very different situation. I think
That is
probably when he went in and lit the fire, the people that were on call at that time were going directly to the family to get him out, and it probably lessened the number of people that were able to look for him, because you want to deal with his safety first. Again, I think you're going to see a lot bigger presence when they get this house repaired and he goes back in there, that they're going to have more permanent personnel around there. They're going to have probably dedicated people, and then you're going to have to harden the entries and like that. So when I do security assessments, that's what I look at. If someone gets over the first barrier, how long does it take them to get to the next barrier? How quickly can they get through that? Because that all determines what you have to put in place to understand that if someone's motivated and they want to get in there, how fast they can do it.
And we again don't know the motive yet. We do know, as the governor said, he says this was a targeted attack. That's what law enforcement and the DA also said. What do you read into that at this point?
I think they've talked about religion only because, one, he just made a post about Passover, and I think that's the one that sticks out the most. But you're really going to have to start now doing the investigation electronically. Has he posted something on social media? Does he belong to any groups that are anti-Semitism type groups? Is he affiliated with anyone? Did he text anyone about this? Also look at when he bought these items to make these incendiary devices, because you look at when the governor posted that photo to how quick, and depending on the devices he had, how quick he could make them. He may have already had this in plan, and it just happened to be that he posted the pictures and people are linking it to it. But also look at some of the laws he just passed and some things that happened. But that's where the investigation is going to come in to put motive. And they did allude to the probable cause warrant that's going to be coming out. And it may have something that he said that really gives the authorities the idea of why he did it.
Yeah. And they said we should have that in the next, they said several hours. We will see.
okay. So they did catch the guy. They are charging him with a bunch of different charges. Unaliving is going to be the biggest of all of those. So our prayers of thanksgiving that nobody was injured. But our hearts go out to those in that area. And I really feel bad for the home. It appears to have sustained some really bad damage. So with that, we will be following this. If this does go to trial and is live, we potentially very well will watch it. Now I'm going to come over here to Austin, Texas. On Sunday, we had a home explosion in Austin, Texas, and it has affected at least 24 other homes. Here we go.
An explosion in northwest Austin heard by people across the Austin Metroplex as a house was left leveled. 6 people injured in the incident, 2 of them in critical condition. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Nabil Ramadna. The house itself on Double Spur Loop. Here's a map of the location. You can see this is near 183 and Spicewood Springs Road. And then we've got some
Used to live in that
video
area.
from the scene out here. You can see a heavy presence of emergency personnel responding to that. Many police officers, firefighters, EMS as well. Now, Sam Stark has been out there all afternoon. He's been trying to figure out what exactly
Generator.
caused this to happen. Sam, do we know anything new at this time, and what are neighbors in the area saying?
Hey, Nabil, we don't know anything new at this time. And as you can see, it's quite dark out here. Most of the crews have actually left the scene, but this is the closest that we've been able to get so far today. If you look behind me over my shoulder, again, it's pretty dark, but you can see the aftermath of the explosion. Pieces of drywall, glass spread everywhere. pieces of wood, just what was formerly house in complete ruin. So we know that 6 people were injured in that explosion and 2 are still in critical condition. For the rest of the neighborhood, many said hearing and feeling the blast was traumatizing.
And I heard a loud explosion like nothing I've ever had experienced before. And then I felt a reverberation, and then I looked up and there was a large gray plume cloud.
Jamal D was out for a jog when the explosion happened. She said she ran to a neighbor's house, unsure what the sound meant.
It's very alarming.
Possibly.
It was, everything going on in the world right now, everything goes through your mind. And when you are out on a jog, it's to calm your body, and everything's usually peaceful in our neighborhood.
This is what is left of a Northwest Austin home after an explosion went off at 11:30 Sunday morning. The explosion destroyed this home and damaged 2 dozen more in the area.
We have several stations fairly close that obviously also heard and felt the explosion.
Shattered windows, caved in garages, and doors off their hinges across the neighborhood. And the sound of the explosion near and miles away, alarming many.
When Austin Fire Department crew arrived on scene, they found a 2-story home that looked like it had suffered an explosion, which was leveled to the ground.
Texas Gas Service crews were on the scene responding to the incident and confirmed the home did not have access to natural gas services.
Atmos Energy was here, Texas Gas Service was here, PEC Electric and Austin Energy were both here. So no underground gas service to any of these residences, but they do have propane tanks.
Officials said they are still investigating the cause. The FBI and other law enforcement agencies were here earlier, but have left as officials don't think the cause was criminal in nature.
Just my heart goes out to these families that were surrounded by this explosion and their houses impacted and affected.
Sorry.
And hopefully we can get
I'm a 15-year veteran of the American Red Cross.
them back on their feet as well.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Haley Mouse.
So, Nabil, as I said earlier, officials are still investigating a cause for this explosion. We will make sure to update you once we hear anything.
Okay, well, let me share this photo. This is a really good picture. I will try to minimize myself. Okay, so as you can see, my mouse, oh, dag nabbit, don't do that to me. Now I've got to sit through all the commercials. I hate these dang commercials. Skip ad. Okay, let's turn on. So 24 homes. This is the home that exploded. The home next to it was greatly damaged, but this gives you a good aerial overview. The cause of the explosion is under investigation. So there you go. That is that. That's that, y'all. We have had a lot of stuff to report on lately, and it's so sad. It's so sad. The 4 people in the airplane that went down this morning, husband and wife, I want to say Middle Eastern couple who were both doctors, their daughter, her boyfriend, their son, his girlfriend, were amongst those who were on that plane at that time. It is such a sad, sad situation for all of them. Also, we have, you know what? I'm going to say this. I have seen so many fake YouTube saying things like Rick Harrison breaks down in court and dies after life sentence without. It's all fake. Joyce Myers arrested and taken to jail. Fake. They're all clickbaits. Don't fall for them. Don't fall for the clickbaits. They are all fake. I'm looking for any more updates on that helicopter, y'all. And I mean on that airplane, and I don't see any more updates. So anyway, the airplane that went down, they're guessing it may have been a gas situation as to why it went down so quickly, that it ran out of gas. I don't know. I'm not a pilot. I don't know anything about these things. This is the okay. I want to see the guy's face. Where?
Bureau and his family as that fire was set at around 2 a.m. right here at the governor's mansion in Harrisburg. Now, we are told that during that period of time, Governor Shapiro and his family and a guest were all sleeping, and luckily everyone was able to make it out with no injuries. Now, the governor held a press conference.
Okay, so they had a picture of the guy. They had a picture of the guy. See, this is what I'm talking about. He ain't dead. Clickbait. Clickbait. Here's the picture of the guy right here. That is the person who was arrested as a suspect in the Pennsylvania governor's attempt on the lives and burning. Oh, thank you. They're Kendra Scott's. I have 2 pair. One that what everybody likes to call the Emily D. Baker earrings. Well, they're not. These were my first pair, and sometime I put them together, make them look like one earring. Thank you so much. Kendra Scott's my jam right now. Yes, they have stopped the helicopter. They have stopped all future flights with that tour company. That tour company is going to be shut down. I don't think they can survive this. A lot of these tour companies are very small, 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 at the most helicopters, and
New York Helicopter Tours announced late last night it will be shutting down operations immediately following last Thursday's deadly crash.
Now, one of the company's shoppers was carrying a family of 5 visiting from Spain when it apparently suffered a mechanical malfunction and crashed into the Hudson River, killing everyone on board. Let's get right to Good Day's Robert Moses. He's been following the story since last week. He joins us live from Lower Manhattan with the latest on this investigation. Robert, good morning.
Tashani and Dan, good morning to you. Last night we learned from the Federal Aviation Administration that not only is New York Helicopter Tours shutting down immediately, but also the FAA is launching a review of the company's safety history. And the owner of the company, Michael Roth, told us in a brief statement that at this point his focus is solely on assisting the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation and on grieving those who were lost. As we know, 6 lives were lost when that chopper disintegrated in midair Thursday afternoon. 49-year-old Augustine Escobar, along with his wife and their 3 children who posed for a picture right before taking off. The pilot, 36-year-old Sean Johnson, a U.S. Navy veteran, also perished. The NTSB has been combing through the wreckage. Much of the helicopter has already been recovered, including the cockpit and cabin. Senator Chuck Schumer told us yesterday that divers were still searching for some parts, including the main rotor and the assembly gearbox. This helicopter did not have any flight data recorders. It also didn't have any cameras inside that may shed light on what went wrong. It had made more than 1,600
They're doing it
flights,
old school.
exactly like the one that it made Thursday, with sometimes as little as 3 minutes between flights, according to the New York Times. After the crash, there were immediate calls for the
$300 per person. That family paid $1,500 to fly for 15 minutes. Wow.
city to end sightseeing helicopter tours. Yesterday, Schumer added his voice to that chorus.
One of the things we can do to honor those lives and try and save others is to make sure it doesn't happen again. And we have to know that we know there is one thing for sure about New York City's helicopter tour companies. They have a deadly track record.
Schumer also called on the FAA to increase its so-called ramp inspections to detect hazards before takeoff. We also heard from the FAA that it plans to hold a safety panel in 8 days, so on April 22nd, focused on helicopter hotspots nationwide.
There has not been an official statement. One plausible situation is that your upper rotors are 16 to 18 feet long, and there are 4 of them, and they're on top like this. Then you have the rear, and they're synced to where they don't hit. But if something goes wrong, the upper rotors will hit the tail rotor, and they'll crash together and fly apart. They're thinking because the tail of the helicopter, when it went upside down, was missing. And you could see the 2 blade with the center rotor was flying through the air and landing in the water. And that was caught on video. So they're thinking it definitely was a mechanical error and that the rotors had hit and just came apart. Now, the pilot did radio back to the base that he needed gas. It came off. So basically, we don't know for sure, but he said he needed to come back and get gas. He should have been back within 3 minutes, and 20 minutes later, he wasn't there, and that's when they found out that they had plummeted into the Hudson River. It's crazy, y'all. So it's one of those things that you just kind of, we won't know any more than that. But if you look at the video of the actual thing happening, which I really don't want to do again, knowing that we're watching people plummeting to their death, you can see the rotors and parts of them flying off. So that is what tentatively I think may have happened. I'm not an aviation person. I'm nowhere near an aviation, although I've been studying to get my pilot license, the written pilot license, but not for drones, but not for actual helicopters. Okay, so we have Austin, Texas had a house explode over the weekend. It was a big enough of explosion that it flattened the house. It looked like a tornado actually went through it. Thank you for liking, Journey. Good morning, Journey. And so that is still under investigation. Some people think it was gas. They had no underlying gas that went under the ground into the home, although some of them did have propane tanks outside the homes. They did not say if this particular home had one, but there were 6 people injured. 2 are still critical. Then we had the governor's mansion fire and attempt of life. That happened in Pennsylvania. We had an airplane crash last night. Here is the route that it took. There is as I zoom in, you can see the field in which it landed, killing all 6 people on board, husband and wife, doctors, daughter's boyfriend, son's girlfriend were on that plane, reportedly. And then we had the helicopter go down, killing all 6 on board, a family of 5. Children were 10, 8, and 5, I think. The youngest, I'm not sure, but I think that's about right. No, 8 and 10 were the other 2 children, killing a CEO and his wife. It was reported that he was here in the United States for business. The family came and joined him for a birthday celebration, and this was a birthday flight. And then you also have the pilot of the plane, who's an ex-military, very good pilot. He had, I think they said 700-800 hours of flight time with this company under his belt. So he knew what he was doing. So apparently that particular incident looks like it was most likely an error on the aircraft itself, not the pilot. I always feel bad for the pilots of these airplanes. Of course, the pilot on the crash today or this morning is also no longer with us, because a lot of times it's not them who causes the problem. No, not to say sometimes it may not be. I mean, sometimes it is them, but pilot error. But it appears, at least in this helicopter, it appears that it was not a pilot error, more of a maintenance error, or just a catastrophic thing that just happened. But the airplane that went down today, apparently it was removed from flight status for some reason. The plane itself, the aircraft was over 40 years old. It was brought back into service probably after all the upgrades because they said that that plane that went down this morning here in this field right there in New York apparently had the latest digital systems in it, flight systems in it. So that will be interesting to see what they believe happened there. I just wanted to, I know I came on earlier and then we had some more updated information. I'm going to give YouTube one more quick scan for any more updated. We do have new images. This is the photo of the family. Let me skirt back real quick. These are live images. This is the helicopter that went down when we had this is the crash in New York. This is the family. Mother and daughter. There's 90 killed. I better mute this. That may be copyrighted music and I might get nailed for it. That is something that everybody's asking right now. Why are we having all these sudden plane crashes? Well, look, oh, by the way, you can tell the whole rudder was gone on the plane. There it is. Let me go back. See, look, right here. And that's the way it was in the photo. In the video, when it went upside down, that whole section was missing. There should be a rudder that comes all the way out here with the propeller on it, and it's missing. And that's the way it was in the actual video that we saw. I'm just going to skip to here. The victims were identified as Indian-born your geologist, Dr. Okay. This girl, the daughter, was a softball star at her at the universities. There she is with her boyfriend. Oh, poor families. I mean, it's going to impact so many people. Former soccer. Oh. What a shame. Tail rotor. Thank you, honey. I have a mild headache today, guys. So, hello, honey. Thank you for liking. I have a mild headache I'm trying to get rid of before the trial starts. Woke up with a headache this morning. Tail rotor. Thank you, baby. I just couldn't come up with the words. She met her husband, Michael Groff. According to the authorities, the family on board was Michael Groff's private plane when this happened. So was he flying it? So he may have been flying that plane. Oh. He told them that he missed the initial approach and requested a new approach. Oh no. So this is the aircraft in which he was You're right. My bad. Sorry, I was talking to my honey. He brought me some Ali for my headache. Oh, yeah, I thought it was going away, but it's trying to come back. So, I'm sorry about that. What I said was, thank you everybody for watching, honey. I hope all of y'all, Tash, honey, one sunny day, Dawn, Gerald, Candace, Huff, welcome, Candace. All of y'all who liked Journey, Seba, thank you so much for joining. We are going to be going over to the trial for Lori Vallow. I'm going to try and start the live at 11. They may not go live until 11:30. I have the live here. It says 41 minutes, but we'll see. But I wanted to come on live just a few minutes early because I wanted to catch everybody up, give y'all a review of last week, a preview of this week. So we will get caught up on that. We also had 2 guilty verdicts come in on Friday for those of you who were not here or did not watch the weekend Sunday Night Live. I'll catch you up. The house in England has a gas explosion the other day. I hope nobody was killed, Haley Mouse. I hope everyone survived it. But yeah, I'm going to go and do some self-care real quick, try to get rid of this headache. As y'all know, I am prone to headaches. It's been a while since I had one on live. So yay, that's good. Yay. But anyway, thank you again for joining. Make sure to join us on the day bill trial. There you go. Thank you, Haley Mouse. I am geared up and ready to go. They said they were going to start at 10 o'clock their time, which is 11 o'clock my time. Then they were going to have a 30-minute delay. Usually they start at 11:30-ish my time. So we'll see if they actually start. We'll see. So they may not start until 11:30. Sometimes they don't start till 12 my time. So we'll just kind of figure it out. We'll figure it out. Thank you so much. We will see you guys in a few minutes at our next live. Once again, stay safe. See you in a few. Thank you for. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I hope you have an awesome day. Till next time, take care.